What's up, guys? Welcome to Chimicomics. My name is Riley.
I'm Wyatt.
Today, we are going to be covering Venom's origin. Everything you need to know about Venom, as far as where he came from, who he is, where the suit came from. We're going to be covering all of that today. Alright, so our readings come from Secret Wars number 8, Amazing Spider-Man 252, 258, 298, 299, and 300, which is a really cool issue. It's the 300th spectacular.
Yeah,
And,
lots of chances leading up to it.
Oh, yeah. Not in that one, but it leads up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We took a chance on reading that whole thing, didn't we?
We did, didn't we?
We'll get into
We'll
that
get
later.
into that.
Alright. So, I read Secret Wars number 8. He didn't. I told him not to because it was basically a waste of time for him to read that. Because, and I'm going to tell you why. This whole issue goes through, and it's all a part of the Secret War storyline. And, like, all this stuff happens that's only pertaining to that. But then at the end of it, the very end, Spider-Man goes in there into this room, the special machine that, like, whatever you think, it'll give you that. So, like,
So gave him a skylight.
So, like, if you think of a plate of onion rings, then, you know, there you go.
That'd
Right?
be good right
It's
now.
the basic concept. But, anyway, Spider-Man goes in there and his suit's all ripped up. And he's like, man, I need a new suit. I guess I just go in here and I think of a new suit. And he's like,
Voila.
and then boom, out comes this little black ball.
Well, that's not what I thought of.
Not what you expected, right?
Yeah.
But this little black ball is just sitting there, and he's like, what is this? And then it crawls onto him, and he's in the black suit. And that's pretty
80s.
much how it happened. Cut, roll credits. No, I'm just kidding. So there's that. The weird thing that you probably don't know is that issue was published, well, it's marked December 1984.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Well, 252 that we read was marked May 1984.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff.
Pretty much. That's how Marvel would explain it, I think. So, they published that first. So, the first time we see the black suit is actually in Amazing Spider-Man, not in Secret Wars.
Hence why I read Amazing Spider-Man, and he went through Secret Wars.
And, which is really weird.
Yeah.
Because, like, alright, you read the issue.
Yeah.
So,
He just shows up at this Stonehenge thing in Central Park, and he's got Dr. Connor with him.
Dr. Connors.
Yeah, Dr. Connors. And he's just in a black suit.
You know who he is, right?
Yeah, the lizard.
The lizard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know
I'm
things.
just making sure.
But so yeah, he comes out of this portal thing, and first off, a cop is there, and he doesn't recognize him as Spider-Man, and I don't recognize him as Spider-Man because he's wearing this black suit,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just like, well, where'd that come from? And then the rest of the Avengers show up, and he just decides to quietly leave because that's how Spider-Man rolls. He's not one for cameras unless it's Peter Parker's camera. So he brings Connors back home.
The whole
Yeah.
premise of this issue is pretty much to hype up Secret Wars. Hey, if you're not buying Secret Wars right now, go get it. It's on the stands.
Yeah.
It literally says that.
And honestly, that's the whole issue is just showing how the suit is. Like, yeah, he's looking for his clothes. Oh no, I can't find my clothes.
Oh yeah, and,
And
he puts his wallet and keys in, and just,
yeah, it just retracts. He puts it inside, and then
just
whoop.
meshes into him.
I was
It's
like,
weird.
That's not very plot or narrative. Why is it putting so much emphasis on this?
Yeah. Because it's cool. It's cool, Wyatt.
At the end of it,
Welcome to the 80s.
everything's black.
We gotta market everything. Hey, it holds its wallet and keys. There's no creases.
There was an editorial thing at the end, I think, just saying, yes, this issue was just to show off the suit.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's basically all this issue did.
Pretty much. That's all it was meant to do.
Yeah.
But then
Sell Secret Wars.
skip to issue 258 because that's the one where something actually happens that matters. In this issue, Peter finds out that this suit is actually alive. He didn't know this before. He thought it was just a suit that was all cool and stuff, but it's actually a creature, a symbiote. So
he takes it to Dr. Reed.
Dr. Reed Richards.
Richards, yeah.
That guy.
Mr. Fantastic.
In the Baxter building.
Yeah. And he goes over and discovers all this, and he's like, we need to separate this from you. But the symbiote just goes completely crazy and is all on Peter, trying to just meld and just clasp onto him permanently. Mm-hmm. And they end up getting it blasted off.
Oh, see, before this, the suit could pull it off at will. Just whenever he wanted to, he could just hang it on the chair and it'd be there. But Reed told him, he's like, hey, this thing is a symbiote. It's taking, like, energy from you. It's living off of you. And he's like, oh, well, I need to get it off. And then, of course, the suit says, no, I want to stay.
Yeah.
And he's trying to pull it off, and it won't come off.
Yeah, and also
then they hit him with the sonic gun.
And then flame on.
Yeah, the Human Torch
circles it with fire,
captures
and Mr. Fantastic just happens to have a containment device on hand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So he puts that on him. And the suit was also swinging through the city while Peter was asleep.
Oh, yeah, that part, I did know about that.
Yeah.
Beforehand, but that was really cool. So Peter's in bed, and he's just trying to sleep. Just trying to take a sleep for the night. And
take a sleep.
Take a sleep. He's trying to
come
take
in,
a
young
sleep.
Skywalker.
Well, it wasn't a nap. It's not a nap. It's at night, and it's for at least 7 or 8 hours, presumably.
A night's rest.
Thank you.
You're welcome,
Mr. Dictionary. Anyway,
the
he's trying to take a sleep, and this suit hops on Peter and says, boy, we go for a night ride. And he's swinging around the city.
Peter has no
doing
idea.
Flips.
It does like an end.
Yeah, they go in behind the mask and his eyes are closed, like, funny. It's really funny.
So yeah, they get the suit off contained, and then we skip ahead, like 40 issues.
Oh, yeah. So in this span, well, at that time, he was with, Spider-Man was with Black Cat, and they were dating, and it was all 80s and cool. They were both wearing black and white, and it was so cool. And then they broke up, and then in a Spider-Man annual, Peter marries Mary Jane. So now they're married when we cut to issue 298. So they're husband and wife, and
she's successful as a model.
Yes, very successful. They're about to move to a high-rise condo.
Which, if any of our viewers are from New York, know how expensive that is.
Yeah. Seriously. And then in comes
Chance.
Chance. Which has nothing to do with Venom.
Yeah. For the first 2 issues, that's basically what it's about. Of this series.
Yeah, it's basically just a guy. I mean, he's showed up before, but he's just a guy who's like, he's got this cool suit and he's
lasers and acid darts.
He's like a mercenary.
Yeah.
And
he's not like a normal mercenary though. Yeah. Like a mercenary is like, okay, I'll do this for $25,000. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'll do it. $10,000. And if I fail,
you pay me nothing.
You pay me nothing. I'll give you $10,000.
Yep.
I'm taking a chance.
A chance. It's so bad.
It really is.
But it's funny. I liked it.
It was funny, yeah.
He's got a pencil-thin mustache. And it's funny. But anyway, that's really all you need to know about Chance. I mean, Spider-Man ends up investigating this whole thing with, like, Chance takes a deal with these
millionaires who are a doomsday cult.
Yeah, it's really weird.
They have enough money for a nuclear submarine, which is illegal. But they have to steal weapons from the military.
Yeah.
By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
And then, like, Chance gets double-crossed by the people who hired him, and Like,
that submarine really put a dent in their account. They can't afford to pay him, I guess.
and then Spider-Man tracks it somehow, like gets to the compound, and then he breaks in and rescues Chance, and he's like, well, now the guards are coming, and then he frees Chance, gives him his weapons, and then they fight it out, and he hates teaming up with Chance.
Yeah, because Chance just blows up all the weapons and a bunch of guards with him.
And then
Batman would be disgraced.
They're like, truce, and then gives Spider-Man a piggyback ride
back to the city.
to Manhattan. Like, okay.
Well, it is a lot speedier than the bus.
I guess. At the end of the issue, you see this last page of Eddie Brock, and he's got these newspaper clippings of Spider-Man on his wall, and he's all vengeful, you can tell. And he just appears to be planning something fairly soon. At the end of 299, you actually see him as Venom.
Yeah, he's stalking in Peter and Mary's apartment.
Yeah.
He's just like, honey, I'm home.
Yeah,
and the
really
mouth
creepy.
grows up, yeah.
It's really creepy.
Yeah.
And she's all, like,
terrified.
flipped out about it.
So much that she immediately gets Spider-Man, Peter, and they move to that high-rise apartment as fast as possible.
Well, they went
stayed
to
in the hotel
for
first.
the night.
Yeah.
And then they moved in. They got a bunch of their friends to help them move in and stuff.
Including Peter's original neighbors.
Yeah. What are the names?
I don't even remember.
Like
Mimi something.
they were not. One of them was not Mimi.
It had a me.
No.
Yes.
Candy, Randy, and Bambi.
It was an E. Candy, Randy, Bambi.
One of them is named after a very famous baby deer.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That was a sad movie.
And I remember Candy, Randy, and Bambi from like Web of Spider-Man, the comic series, which is good. It's worth reading. But yeah, that was a weird call out.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that dude wearing the football jersey? He's like, I'm missing the game. I hate this.
Yeah.
I guess that was
Then why are you here?
Yeah. I guess that was one of Mary's friends. She said, I ran out of your friends, so I called some of mine.
Yeah. Must have been one of Mary Jane's friends. What a weirdo.
Yeah.
Well, at the very beginning of issue 300, it takes off. It picks up right after 299. So you're still in the apartment. Venom is left at this point, but Mary Jane is still there, crying, and Peter comes in. He's like, "Hey, honey," and she's like, "Ah, who are you?" And he's like, "It's me, Peter." And she's like, "Oh." So like, and their costumes look the same, obviously, because Peter is not wearing a symbiote, but he's wearing the same looking suit, but it's just a suit.
Because the 80s.
Yeah, because it was cool and it sold.
And oh, did it sell.
Which, I mean, I would have bought it at the time. I love that suit. So, like, this whole time Brock is, like, wanting revenge and stuff, and he's swinging around trying to find him, and eventually he does. And then they have this big knockout.
Yeah, he tries.
Knockdown, drag out fight.
Yeah, Spider-Man tries what originally worked, the sonic rifle from Mr. Fantastic, and it disrupts it, but it doesn't send him off Brock because they're permanently bound now.
Oh, we need to explain how he got the suit and why. So, like, Brock was a reporter for the Daily Globe.
Not the Daily Bugle.
The Daily Globe. And he was a pretty respected reporter. He was getting some good stories, getting some clout with the community. And he was writing a story about the Sin Eater, which is another story for another time. Which is also a good story if you haven't read that one. But so he's writing a story about the Sin Eater, but this guy comes in and he's like, "Hey, I'm the Sin Eater." He's like, "Okay." So he writes a piece about him, and he's like, "Okay, I've got this guy confessing to being the Sin Eater." And then eventually he's like, "You know what? I'll just run it as this guy's the Sin Eater." And he publishes that, "Hey, we know who it is." And And
He should have added a question mark at the end of it.
that could have worked.
Yeah.
That
Is
could have
this
worked.
the Sin Eater?
That would have been better.
See, I'm a good reporter as well as a good detective.
Good for you.
Yeah.
But you just got it all. Don't you?
Yeah.
But so shortly after, like, I think Brock says an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
In comes Spider-Man. So
It's like the old cartoon. He just drops it at Jonah's desk. Here's the Sin Eater.
But Spider-Man captures the real Sin Eater, and obviously it's not that guy.
Yeah, it's a cop,
so
I think.
now Brock is a laughingstock. He has to write crap stories, like the back of the pages. You know, he's
He
a
gets suicidal.
far fall from where he used to be. Yes.
He gets suicidal, and he's a diehard Catholic.
Mhm.
So he's going to churches about this, and he goes to
Trying to repent.
Yeah, trying to
for
repent.
those
And he
thoughts.
goes to Saint whatever, and I can't remember.
It was like sisters.
Saint Sisters of Hope or something. But that church is where Spider-Man fought the Venom suit and thought he killed it because it did escape containment after they got it off of him. And it was at the church bell in the bell tower. And the bell ringing, because, you know, its weakness is sound, he thought that killed it. But it didn't. It just dissipated it for a bit. So Brock is at this church doing his thing, praying about this, I guess. And the symbiote notices his hate for Spider-Man. And it decides that if he wants to kill Spider-Man, I want to kill Spider-Man. So it's a good idea for us to work together. So it jumps down and bonds with him. And he gets all super creepy.
That's a big point about Eddie and Venom and why they work so well together. They feed off of each other. It's the perfect symbiosis,
Yeah.
really. They both hate Spider-Man because he ruined both of their lives, pretty much. So, Lady of Saints Church in Lower
Lady
Manhattan.
of Saints Church in Lower
And it's
Manhattan.
got big church bells, which is a big deal in this scenario because the symbiote hates sonic, like sounds and fire.
That's his weakness.
But they don't use fire.
Well, most people are weak to fire.
Well, you know. In case you didn't know, so they have this big fight, right? And then Eddie knocks Spider-Man out. He says, "Whop!"
Yeah, this entire panel.
Yeah.
Whop!
And then
Peter wakes up,
inside a bell, web to it.
and it's a big web. Like, it's like a huge
A lot of
cocoon
webbing. Yeah.
of web.
A lot. And then Brock is like, "Ha, we are going to exorcise a demon today."
He's changed the
He's
Venom
dressed
suit into that of a priest.
He's lost his marbles.
He really has. So yeah, he does that, and he's like, it's about to strike 12. The gong is gonna hit you and crush you, and he just decides, I'm a villain. I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna hope it kills him.
Yeah.
So he does that trope.
And Spider-Man gets out, of
Yeah,
course.
like he's
he
just
usually
punching
does.
through the web.
And then he figures out that the webbing is a part of the symbiote.
Yeah,
So whenever he spins a web,
it uses part of the
it
suit.
uses him up.
Yeah, and he just used a bunch of it to cocoon him there. So he's running low.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man just keeps at range, forcing him to use his web in order to not fall off the church bell. Very tactical. And until he runs out of web, and he does fall. And when he's falling,
long way.
yeah, and he's falling down all this, he's wounded. The suit has been used up.
He's
and it's not-
alive.
yeah,
but
he's alive.
But he's like knocked out.
Yeah.
And then he turns him into the Fantastic Four, and they have him in this chamber where there's a little
The
bit
thing
of
was
Sonic.
annoyed because it was like 3 a.m. and it interrupted his beauty.
Yeah. That was a funny.
Yeah.
one. And then Peter goes home, and Mary Jane is like, "You know what? You need to get rid of that suit because it's giving me the creeps."
Yeah, so he throws it in the fire, and she has his old
She hands
OG
him
red and blue
The
with the
old suit.
tick.
And then it's just him
And Mary Jane doing
web
their
spinning
thing.
off into the night.
Yeah,
So-
then they web spin.
But yeah, that's pretty much the gist. It's probably a lot more than you bargained
Yeah.
for, but
We can't help ourselves.
I thought these were pretty fun reads, honestly. They're very 80s. The last one is very 90s, but they are good. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I'll give him scale 1 to 10, 9.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty solid.
The first two were written by Roger Stern, and then the last three were written by David McLeany, who worked with Todd McFarlane on the art, and that's a big deal because that's why issue 300 is worth so much, because it's, well, one, because it's the first appearance of Venom, and two, because Todd McFarlane is such a big deal artist, and his books sold like
Hotcakes.
gangbusters when he was drawing back in the day.
Really good. But yeah, we've gone over all this for you. Like he said, it's a lot more than you bargained for.
Well, I hope that you got something out of our ramblings. But hope you enjoy the movie coming out.
Even though Rotten Tomatoes did.
We don't worry about them. It'll be a fun movie. It'll be dumb and cool, just like these comics. So
Yeah.
I have no doubt.
The Skylight.
Yeah. We'll catch you on the next one.